Hey guys, Ashlane here, coming at you with part 2 of the Bowler Walk strategy. So in part 1, I was still playing around with my troop composition, but now I've used actually 6 or 7 clan war attacks in a row. I've used the Bowler Walk strategy, so I think I'm getting a little bit of a handle on it, and I found a favorite troop composition, as well as 2 spell compositions depending on the base I'm hitting. So I thought I'd share my 4 most recent raids with you guys. On this war, I actually hit 2 Town Hall 10s for 3 stars because I don't know about your clan wars, but in our clan wars, if we can have our Town Hall 11s 3-star all the Town Hall 10s, we'll usually win. So that's why I wanted to show you these replays, although I will show you against a Town Hall 11 as well. So you can see on this base, I thought about starting from the north, but then these walls over here, they're hard to navigate through 3 layers of wall, so I decided to start from around 3 o'clock instead, kind of near that army camp over there, and I moved to 6 o'clock and enter in over here using earthquake spells. So notice the army composition. I've actually gone from using 7 or 8 bowlers down to 6 because I found that 6 still do the trick. Now you want to go ahead and place them all clumped up together using one finger, and then immediately afterwards drop the healers. Now in these bowler walks, the unfortunate part of it is that the AI on the bowlers is so wacky that they kind of head in any direction. They're very unpredictable. So you really have to make sure you try to deploy them at the same exact second and then hope for the best. Now I found in almost all my bowler raids that one of the bowlers, or 2 of the bowlers sometimes, kind of veer off the course of the other bowlers, but more often than not, they actually group back together. You'll see this as a theme in almost all my attacks because they do target the closest unit to them. Usually once one of the straying bowlers finishes with his unit, he merges back with a pack. Now, so what I usually do is drop the Archer Queen midway through the bowler portion of the attack, the bowler walk. And then here I'm going to trigger the clan castle, drop that poison spell right away. I just barely missed the witch in that poison radius. I think I might have got her. No, I just missed her. But the bowlers all die off, but that's not really a big deal. I've got a quarter of the base down, and I've cemented my funnel in the inside of the base. You can see there's no units that will cause my Valkyries to head east. All my Valks will head towards the center of the base. So then I want to deploy 3 or 4 Valkyries to create the funnel, and then the heroes, the king and the Grand Warden, and the rest of the Valkyries away from those distracting units towards the south. And then the Golem and the Valkyries that I used to create the funnel will actually kind of stray off, but that's actually good, as they'll take care of all those units in the south of the base. So the heroes kind of doing their thing in the center of the base along with the Valkyries. I brought that jump spell to help the raid move along quickly, and I wanted to provide the opportunity for my my Barbarian King and the Golem, if still alive, to go right up into the northwest corner of the base. And at this point, I have not used either of my hero abilities, and the Golem's still alive with his Valkyries, and I know immediately it's going to be a very, very convincing 3-star attack. Now, it doesn't look like the bowlers did a heck of a lot in this attack, and I found that, actually, believe it or not, comparing these attacks to some of my clanmates' attacks who are just using mass Valkyries, I find that against Town Hall 10s, you can see didn't even need the Queen ability there. Against Town Hall 10s, I actually prefer the bowler walk, believe it or not, mainly because of the point I just mentioned, that the bowlers create that funnel in the inside of the map as well. Okay, now we're moving on to a max anti-3-star Town Hall 10, and against this base, now I did mention that I usually use 3 jump spells against anti-3-star Town Hall 10s. However, this base, I knew with 4 earthquake spells I could open up the entire middle of the map, and I figured that using a rage spell, or at least my Barbarian King Iron Fist ability, I could probably access the rest of the base without having to use a second jump spell. So I'm starting this bowler walk here, and immediately some of the bowlers start diverging, and that's totally okay. My idea here was that some of the bowlers would get to 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock was where I'd start my Queen and my Golem and the Valkyries entering the base, creating the funnel up there. So things are going very well here at this point. I have a few bowlers that strayed off, but that's actually okay. They're going to take care of that Wizard Tower. Just taking care of more splash damage off the board is always a good thing. So the Wizard Tower dies right there, and the rest of the bowlers continue their walk, and around around 20% or so, I'm going to deploy my Archer Queen. Then I'm going to use a jump spell to access the rest of the base. Now, how do I decide where to start my bowler walk from? Basically, the number one thing I'm looking at is defensive concentration. I want to start somewhere where I know the bowlers won't have a ton of splash damage on them as well as expos. And the number two thing I'm looking at is where is the bowler walk going to end? Where can I drop my queen? And where can I access the base only using one jump spell if possible? So now at this point, you can see how fast the Valkyries do their thing once they reach the center of the base. And then the map, it closes my troops off a little bit, and that's really not the end of the world. It's going to take a second or two for the troops to break through that wall, but when they do, most of the base will be accessible from there on out. The queen is doing her thing in the north with the healers sticking with the queen. That's the nice thing about the bowler attack or the bowler walk, is that the healers, once the bowlers die, usually transition right to the queen because I'm placing the queen before the rest of the troops, and then the healers will naturally target the next closest unit that is under fire, which is usually the queen. So that's how it's going to work out these attacks. And you can see the queen, full health, totally fine here. Valkyrie's still alive. Everything looking great, and it's a nice 3-star attack. And this is, like I said, this time I use 7 bowlers. Most of the time now I'm using 6, but let's go to the most recent war, actually, and just show we lost by 3 here. We were at a little bit of a disadvantage in the matchup, but Dutch Army was a very good attackers as well. So I'll show an attack against a totally maxed out anti-3-star Town Hall 11 here, and even the Infernos are max. And what I kind of did here was a poor man's version of the bowler walk, meaning that I played it really, really carefully. I wasn't shooting for 3 stars on this attack. I just wanted a decent percentage 2-star attack against this maxed out base that was a pretty difficult base design in terms of everything being 100% maxed, and in terms of the, getting to the core and keeping your troops alive against all that damage that will come raining down on them. So I decided to start the bowlers right over here, and again, placing the bowlers really close together and placing the healers immediately afterwards. I always use the rage on the bowler walk. It doesn't seem like it makes a huge impact. It might not seem like it makes a huge impact, but it actually does. It really speeds things up so you have extra time, and they do a heck of a lot of damage under rage. Now, again, with this attack, going in, I had planned on keeping the bowlers alive. That's why the bowler walk was so short. I did not want them to die like I do in the Town Hall 10 attacks. However, I wanted them to merge into the rest of the army and then stay alive under rage for the center of the base. So now I'm dropping my Earthquake spell. I'm going to drop my first rage spell, my second rage spell, and I use my Eternal Tome ability as soon as the troops entered the base. Now, it's very, very, very important to remember that if you're going to use any kind of Valkyrie attack, you need to deploy the Grand Warden immediately after the Valkyries, like as if the Grand Warden was a Valkyrie himself. I even see some people deploying the Grand Warden before the Valkyries because it's so important to encompass the Valkyries with your Eternal Tome ability. Otherwise, your raid could totally die down. So you can see 60%, I think I get like 62 or so percentage. Queen died off, they kind of veered in separate directions. Either way though, I was happy with the raid as I just wanted a decent percentage safe 2-star attack. So that was the idea there, and the bowlers did a lot of work after the initial walk portion. And then I'll show you another 3-star against the Town Hall 10 as well. So this is another anti-3-star Town Hall 10 base. This time I wanted to bring you this replay because I used 3 jump spells against this base. I really couldn't find an area where I thought it would be advantageous to use 4 Earthquake spells, and using 3 jump spells certainly gives you more flexibility in terms of mid-raid mobility. So my idea was to start the bowler walk around 3 o'clock because I knew those army camps would keep them going towards the south, and then from the south I could use 3 jump spells to pretty much open up the entire base. And if I used a rage spell early, I figured I could move the attack along fast enough where the bowlers would actually stay alive because there's not a heavy concentration of defensive DPS at all towards the southern half of the base here. So if things are going great right now. The bowlers really quickly take out that entire compartment except for the elixir pump there, and some of the bowlers are going to go into the base, and some of the bowlers are actually going to continue. That's actually pretty beneficial to this raid, as it helps maintain and create the funnel going into this attack. Now, because I was going to have to attack, I dropped the 3rd jump spell there in the north, and because I was going to have to attack into the queen a little bit late into the raid, I decided to use a poison spell, really dramatically slowing the rate of fire on that enemy archer queen. Then I used the royal cloak, the eternal tome ability really pretty early on, as soon as my Valkyries get into that compartment where they're going to engage the enemy archer queen, and then things are going really nicely from here on out. Like I said, those 3 jump spells pretty much opened up the entire base to my Valkyries. They can even jump, after this dark elixir is down, they can even jump into the way outermost compartment, way up northwest, and to me, that's pretty impressive considering I started the raid all the way from the opposite end of the base, and I was able to open up most of the base using those jump spells. So I deploy some minions there when I know those archer towers are distracted. They're going to do some work in the south. And you'll notice, just like last time, my healers have transitioned onto my heroes, my queen and my Grand Warden and the golem there. So either or, it's totally fine as long as they're targeting somebody, but I'd like them to switch off into the queen, and then they do. So that is perfect. So now I have my king, my queen alive, a bunch of barbarians, a few Valkyries as well mixed in there, I think 3 Valkyries. So I know at this point there's plenty of time left on the clock, and I only have 1 compartment left, and when the healers are on the queen as they transition, that's the beauty of this attack strategy. The bowler portion works great for creating that inside funnel, and that's something we never talked about pre-update, pre-bowlers. We always talked about the outside funnel, not the inside funnel. That's why they have great synergy with Valkyries in this attack. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Wishing you best luck on the bowler attack strategy, the bowler walk, and as always, take care, guys.
Play for the glory and the crash of the ash.